Wow, perfect timing. Hello, everybody. We are back with the IQ podcast. I'm the Sunny Machine, and this week I have a guest, Nimicry. Nimicry, you're here for us to ask and answer one simple question: what is a Nimicry? And
Oh,
I'm gonna give my short answer. Appreciate you guys in the chat hanging out. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, later or Spotify. Don't forget to check us out on infinitequality.live. We have a great community. If you're interested in coming on the podcast, being a guest, and telling us about your experience, come join our community Discord. Go to infinitequality.live on the web. Okay, so what is a Nimicry? Nim, it's I'm glad to have you on the podcast. It's a pleasure. This is gonna be an interesting one for sure.
well, it's good to be here, Sonny. And be honest with you, it's good to be here.
I'm glad you're doing this. That you took the time. So I'll give you a short introduction, but I want you to give us more: who, what, where, when, Nim. So Nimicry and I go back quite a while now. What, like, how long have we known each other? A year, two?
Yeah, maybe
Couple of
maybe
years?
closing on two.
Yeah.
Coming close to two.
Yeah, you joined IQ way back, kind of earlier, and
Yeah.
and then I popped in your stream and was like, "Hey, I can help you fix this thing." So,
Answers, please,
yeah,
please.
yeah.
Because I do a lot of stuff during the day, but art escapes me. It's like looking through a waterfall at a painting, and like I could kind of replicate it, but it's so much effort for me. Oh, it's so much. If I am doing art or design, like in a creative fashion, things have gone awry.
Yeah.
Plans need to be changed. We need to get better. And of course, I do want to say good evening to chat. Thank you for greeting me. It was very kind.
Yeah. So Nim's a streamer that plays a lot of MMO games and some Souls games and some other things probably sprinkled around here and there too. But he focuses mostly on MMOs. And the past year, you kind of ditched World of Warcraft for a while and checked out. I saw you playing Anarchy Online, which is really that goes kind of way back. I remember playing that when it came out.
Funny enough, that
Yeah.
was my very first MMO.
Me too.
It released in when I was in middle school. It released, and I played it, and I remember the backyard and the fence, and then you had to get your apartment key and roam, because remember, Omnitech is your friend.
Yeah.
But I that was there, and what was crazy is I actually got to speak to some of the Grid Space Radio people for their 25th anniversary, and I was like, oh, this is dope, and so I got to have a lot of fun with that, and we got to give away some stuff. And it was really cool to be able to go back in as someone who is not a child and can play games whenever I want. That's right, Mom. I can play games whenever I want now. I got the degree. I'm working on becoming a doctor. I can play video games when I want.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But
Anyways,
yeah.
but I liked that, and the reason why I ditched WoW, it wasn't out of any, there's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions on Blizzard for a while. I'm back playing WoW. My thing is, if a game is not fun, I stop playing it.
Right, sure.
That's just it. Like, for some people on Twitter, that is like, the equation meme in your head. Like, oh my god, he cracked the code. Yeah, games are fun. Boom.
This is
mind blown.
This is the longest introduction ever. So, but yeah,
I'm
you're
sorry.
you're an MMO streamer, and you bounce around. And I'm just trying to give people a taste of what they might get if they pop into your channel. You've also done some educational content.
Yes.
And I was there for a couple of those. We talked about, I don't remember what it was, maybe nutrition or something.
Well, generally with you, Sonny, it's nutrition. But for those who are curious,
Yeah.
I am, and I'll try to move on past the introduction so we can move into things. I'm
No,
rather.
it's fine. It's fine.
Brevity's not a skill I possess. That being said, I'm studying to become a doctor in psychology. I'm currently an engineer during the day. I have a degree in renewable energy engineering. I'm trying to become a doctor in psychology because, quite frankly, there's a lot of people who need more mental health care. And I would like to be able to do that. I am a veteran, so I served in 2nd Battalion, 10th Marines, and the educational stuff, when we do it, it usually involves psychological topics because that tends to bring out a lot of people. Right now, I'm currently suffering through statistics, and let me tell you...
He's talking about class. He's talking about, he's taking a statistics class.
Statistics class, yes. I am having I got invited to be a TA next semester, and I still feel like I don't have a grip on the material.
True. Yeah. So your background in education, you kind of gave us that a little bit. And you told us that you're not very good with art. What was your experience before you started broadcasting with Twitch with production? Did you make YouTube videos or
None.
anything? Okay. So
I
nothing.
literally one day I was watching a channel called Preach Gaming, big WoW guy, and he talked about how his friend Andy and him were two British blokes. They said who just created stuff and was like, we tried to do it. So that was my answer. Okay, yeah, sure. Well, I did it. My first thing, I did a video on mechanics bloat all the way back in Warlords of Draenor.
So your
Then,
first thing was a YouTube video that you made?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and then
Before you
and then
started streaming.
yeah, and somebody told me about Twitch, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll do Twitch because I used to make people laugh. I would get on stage and rap, and like I would make people laugh. I would do things, and so they're like, why don't you do this live? And I have a flair for the dramatic. I think we can all acknowledge that, and we went from there.
All right. So I'm trying to get a roadmap here from you to Twitch and why did you choose to go to Twitch from just people telling you? Was that like, and then what was that experience like? Did you did you like turn Twitch on and was it great or was it a disaster?
Okay, so it absolutely initially and continually is a disaster.
Okay, it's self-deprecating to the nth degree, but yeah, okay.
No. I mean, I'm talking about Twitch as an experience can be a disaster because you can try to think you get a handle on stuff, and then it just doesn't ever work, and it slips through your hands like sand.
True.
The point that I'm saying is that when I got on Twitch, I had an actually very positive experience because I'm a very extroverted person. I like to enunciate. I can speak and entertain and tell jokes, and I think I have a pretty good sense of comedic timing, so it worked out really well. And that was fun. And then I'll never forget the day that I got affiliate. And this was the thing because it was middling streams here and there, but a lot of the raid group that I raided with would tune in for color commentary while they were raiding because I would have my Discord mic muted. So you'd hear things like, "Why are you standing in the fire like your nuts are cold?" You know, at no level do I get heal stupid. It's not a spell that I get. So just stuff like that. I'd make jokes. I'd be like, okay, and here comes the tank, ready to be battered about the face, and yet I am still disappointed. Your whole job is to be beaten to death, and I'm disappointed in that. Yeah, it's just stuff like that. And of course, as you know, when you play long games like that with friends, with teams, you develop inside jokes and things like that. And it's a lot of fun. So that was a really cool thing. And after that, it's been kind of, we've had some ups, some downs, some over and outs. And I know one thing. Each time I take a look at my face, I get back up and sit in this chair and take this place.
That's life. That's what all the people say.
There it is. Sonny got the joke. Thank you, Sonny, for helping me carry that all the way across the finish line.
I only know that because my very first band in high school, we covered that song.
Oh, it's a great song. It's a great song.
Yeah. So talking about from a production perspective, did you have a lot of trouble with streaming, like setting up your stream and getting it to be good quality?
Oh my God, yes.
Tell us that story.
Okay, so I start off with a C270 Logitech webcam, right? Just absolutely potato.
Got to start somewhere.
Potato. And I get a little desktop mic from Micro Center. And okay, whatever. And I'm using like desk lighting from under an IKEA desk. So it's just this is like Fisher Price, my first streaming setup.
It's not too far off from
Yeah. So and I looked at some videos to see like, okay, what do I actually need to do this? Because again, I'm an engineer, so I understand that certain equipment is needed. So I was like, okay, this gets me functional. And then I end up saving up a little money. And somebody gave me a small donation. I think it was the last $50 at one point for effort. It was just some big streamer who I guess I got lucky with. I don't even remember what his name is at this point. But the point, well, because it was nice, but they never came back, and that's the trick, right? Get people to come back.
Right.
But so I ended up buying a Razer Seirin Pro, and I'm like, oh my God, Razer is great. I have since been let's say I've been relieved of that notion. So I'm doing this, and my audio is just scuffed. It is scuffed and scuffed and scuffed, and I try to adjust and I try to make it better, and I eventually get it a little better and a little better and a little better, And finally, after so many years of production and being told incremental improvements,
Sure.
I am where I am now. And
Right.
no small part thanks to Sonny being like, Nim, please, please, for the love of God, please do the thing. Here is the thing. Do the thing. You're giving me an aneurysm. Do you want to give me an aneurysm?
I never said that.
No, yeah, you sure?
It's
I definitely
it
will.
probably felt like I was saying that, but
No, you've been very kind, Sonny. Don't get me wrong. You've been very kind. I'm not. This is not a denigration of you in any way.
no. Okay, so you came into this not knowing anything about production.
Yeah, I just
You
went and did it.
winged it, and you used what you got in front of you, and so that's good. That's good to know. This is the kind of thing that I think a lot of people struggle with, is that they feel like they have to be over prepared in order to turn their stream on.
So let me address that real quick, right? Like the best thing you can do when it comes to starting streaming isn't just do it, right? Because that's good, but it's not. Don't just do something. Stand there, meaning make the proper preparations. Okay, once you've made the proper preparations, you're done. And if you second guess yourself at that point, then you start having to over prepare. So what I recommend for people, especially people who might be scared of being on camera or scared or weird about hearing their own voice, is look in the mirror while you're brushing your teeth and narrate the activity. Because what that's going to do is that's going to get you used to seeing yourself in real time talking, and the only people who are going to think you're crazy are your family and or relationships. So that inoculates you towards the initial insanity that this is until you get exposed to a wider audience.
Okay, there you go. Everybody, look in the mirror, brush your teeth, and talk to yourself. Got it.
Yeah. If you're uncomfortable on camera.
All right, so how would you rate your experience with producing things now? You do YouTube videos, not just streaming. So, and that's in a learning process for you. You've been learning how to do editing and things like that.
I literally am self-taught with editing. Like I literally I picked it up and was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this. And I would see an effect and I would try to learn how to do it. And then I kind of lean into my own style, which is a little sarcastic, as you guys can probably tell. And so that works out really well. And I recently have gotten to the point where I'm starting to change shots more often, but I'm doing all the editing myself. And after a long day at work, I try to say something like this: is if it's not good in the original take, it's probably not going to be great in the edited take. So I try to have as high quality raw footage as I can, so then I can just make small improvements and we have something better, as opposed to having to fundamentally fix something.
Yeah.
Essentially, QC is there to catch errors in process, not to fix products.
Sure.
So that's where I come from there.
Gotcha.
And luckily, I happen to have the raw magnetism and charisma to pull that off. Wink.
Okay, so most of all your content's in English. I don't. Do you speak any other languages?
At one point, I spoke some what we would call laughable Spanish. Okay. So I have to pick up a foreign language credit or two for the degree. So I'll probably.
You didn't have it already for your bachelor's?
No.
You didn't need it?
I got the advisor was very friendly to me.
Wow, so, I had to full on have like a third year language course in order to get my bachelor's.
Now I have to do that, but whatever. It is what it is.
What language are you going to study?
Either I'm really gonna actually try to stick to Spanish, or I may learn some Japanese, just for future reference. Just because, hey, it can be very useful.
Yeah, because you like anime, which we'll talk about.
Of course, yeah.
We'll probably talk about in the post show.
Yeah, we'll talk about the show.
Yeah.
So
so you speak English and you're gonna maybe learn another language for your degree. That's interesting. Okay. Well, I think that's a good question. It's a weird question.
Of course.
Because it just helps us get to know like what you are like and what you do. So let's ask you about hobbies. What do you do for you? Like, I know you play video games and stuff on stream, but do you have anything that's like that else that you get into that you like to do?
So I'm a fan of exercise in general, and while I'm not, Mr.
Hell yeah,
beefy,
here we go.
guy,
Here we go.
We gotta
get the gun show. The gun show. Yeah. I've been going to the gym too, right?
Yeah, there it is. I got some stuff. But I also have a heavy bag and a speed bag off camera. And I used to do that when I was in the Marine Corps. I used to box a lot because it's a very good exercise. I I also, on occasion, will I like a video content creation for me is both kind of a hobby
Sure.
and a paid hobby.
Something
like
you take seriously. Well,
something I
you
take-
know, a lot of people take hobbies seriously. Like if you're going to be like an RC car enthusiast, that's expensive.
Oh yeah, yeah it is. And we're not talking like, and I can't go around like Yakuza 0 and beat yen out of people's pockets. I mean,
Yeah.
I probably could, but I live in Ohio, and it's very hard to find yen in Ohio. So
Yeah. So
that's that.
anything else? Do you do anything else? We go to the gym. So I'd say it's interesting that you bring that up for a hobby. Yeah, like
Well, yeah, because
not-
it's the way I look at things is, I tend to be very okay. This is my goal. I'm gonna go towards it. Everything I do goes towards that goal, and so everything becomes a certain part of me. I really like to play World of Warcraft. I like games. I like to read when I can. I'm
Read.
actually working.
Okay.
I actually like to read. I'm working through a book right now again called The Golden Age. It's written by my favorite author, Gore Vidal. If anybody in the chat knows him, drop something in there. But it is very generally the books are a little highbrow for most people, and that's just the way. But if I've seen him in interviews before he died, and he was very much like the condescending, like Connecticut Ivy Leaguer. He would just look. He'd be like, "Oh, how dare you speak to me, sir?" And I'm like, okay, but I still like his writing. Like I like his writing. Like it's good. I gotta give credit where credit is due.
Okay. So some reading.
Yes.
The gym. Anything else?
Not really. To be
Nothing.
honest,
Art. No.
no, not really. Not like
Sports.
I do exercise
Just
for me.
the gym. Just the weightlifting.
Oh no, I do cardio and boxing and
Okay,
and things
well, we
like
won't
that.
get into that. That's post-show conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
There's no such thing.
I will sometimes do a little bit of martial arts from time to time and work with some kids around the neighborhood and such. I actually have pads and mitts and kick pads and things we'll put on, and we'll work with form and try to be like, hey, stuff.
Okay, no other tech-related interests or hobbies?
Not really, to be
Okay,
honest.
all right.
I once I get stuff done, I'm like, it works. I'm good.
Okay.
I
All right, so let's talk about gaming then. What was your first video game system? Do you remember?
Nintendo from 1985. I got it when I was my father got it for me. When I was born in 87, but it was the 1985 version of Nintendo. I got it when I was younger, and I remember playing Duck Hunt and Super Mario and the gold cartridge Zelda.
Perfect.
Like it was enjoyable.
I have it. Yeah, I got it back.
Yeah,
here.
my gold cartridge was stolen by a young lady. So that was something.
Oh, I got that off Goodwill. Mine's gone. My childhood one's gone, long gone too.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, I love that was the first one, and then I remember my grandmother being a Boston Polish Catholic woman. So she had this accent, which talked like this. I can't do the accent.
That's too bad.
She did accent, but she would tell my grandfather came from Poland in 1946, and so I was raised a lot by my grandparents and my father and my mother and all that stuff. And I was doing really good stuff here. So I'd read every day. I would have to eat and read. That was the same thing. Every time you're eating, you're reading. And so because she'd be like, Aaron, you're very smart. You're smart. You're gonna be very smart. So they did that. One day I come down without the encyclopedia I'm supposed to have because I read through all of them, and my grandmother asked me like, hey, did you read them all? Yes, Grandma. Okay, so I do. And so she's like, Chet, get Aaron the Mario. He loves the Mario. And this is like early 90s, so you could so Mario's like crazy huge, even more than it is now. And so my grandfather, through gritted teeth, because he hated video games, thought they were a waste of time. Well, he's old world, and this was early 90s.
I mean, he's not wrong.
got me a Super Nintendo. And I was there, and we were off to the races after that. Like, Mario was cool. Super Nintendo, absolutely bonkers system. Chrono Trigger, Secret of Evermore, Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3. I know 4 and 6.
So these are the games you grew up playing.
Oh my god! Oh, I had such a great RPG childhood because we couldn't afford a lot of games. So I would always look for the ones that had like
120 hours worth of gameplay. Yeah.
My babysitter, when it wasn't family, were these college kids across the courtyard, and they were all nerds too. So they were like, Aaron, hey, you can take this, it's fine. And it was great. Like it was like I remember they would be playing games like Street Fighter. And like, Aaron, get the door. I get the door. It'd be the pizza guy. I would hand him the money and bring the pizza back, and be like, oh, all right, cool, thanks, man. And like it was just great. Like these dudes were, I don't know what happened to them. Obviously they grew up and moved out of an apartment, but it was as a child, that was some of the most nurturing environment I could be in to create somebody who loves video games.
Okay. All right. So then you decided one day to stream because people told you you would be good as a streamer, and then so you brought your love for gaming to Twitch. Is that kind of how that happened?
That's about as accurate as one could say. At some point I like being entertaining. I like making people laugh. I like making people think. And I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have the hubris to get on the internet and put
I'm
my
gonna go
opinion.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's how I learned how to make onigiri.
So what's your goal for streaming with Twitch then? So you've been streaming for how long actually?
Oh, I had to take a year off because I almost died on the operating table. Um,
Do we want to get into that or?
I mean, I've got a scar right here
Yeah.
from when they stuck a scope down my throat, missed, punctured my esophagus, had my lungs started to collapse from positive pressure, and they had to stick a tube in to drain the air. And for like 6 months later, every time I touched my skin, it sounded like it was Rice Krispies. So when you push the extra air out, it would come out of my eyelids. It was a lot of fun. I will tell you, I will tell you that I rolled over on the tube, right? And that was the most pain I've ever been in my life. Oof. And I've been in a fair bit of pain from various things. And they gave me, I was screaming because this tube is deep into my side. And I roll over on it. So they come in and they inject something into my IV, and my vision goes from being clear to like as if you dropped a rock in a pond. So it's ripples, and I'm out like a light. I wake up 18 hours later in no pain, and I asked, like, what happened? And they're like, oh, we gave you 4 milligrams of fentanyl. And I was like, oh, okay. And this was back in 2017. And I was like, oh, okay, I see why people are dying on that stuff. Because I was absolutely dead to the world. Now, this was given to me, obviously, by a doctor in the ICU. It's a little different than the street drug. But I was like, I have no urge to replicate any part of that, because I like being productive. That's kind of what I.
You were streaming before that happened, and then you had to take a break for recovery and stuff. You seem like you've recovered pretty well. So how long have you been streaming overall?
Since like 2016.
So that's that's kind of around when I started as well. So
yeah, about 2016. I mean, you could look at the Twitch channel specifically for that. I think it's like April something 2016.
Okay.
The point about the length of the streaming is, sadly, there's no seniority when it comes to Twitch. It's all on merit and connections. So you got to be good, and it's good to know people.
Those are both valuable things in this space. That's true. But outside of maybe not growing to a massive degree, what is your goal for streaming? Do you have any? What are you trying to get out of streaming, and are you achieving those goals?
Am I achieving those goals?
What are they, and are you meeting them?
Well, so I like to be an MMO guy. That's fun for me. There's always something to do. You can lead groups of people. You can teach stuff. It really scratches that itch for me. That MMOs grabbed me very young and never let me go. Much like Kevin Spacey. Now,
do I need a rim shot sound for you?
I have one.
No, I don't think we can hear it, but yeah.
Okay. Anyways, but the point that I
okay.
the point that I'm getting at is that I would like to do more stuff in the MMO creator space. I'd like to cast some events. I'd like to at some point.
So this is specifically talking about streaming.
Yeah, streaming.
Okay.
I'd like to cast some events.
Okay.
I'd like to work with Blizzard. If I could wave a magic wand, I want to be on the WoW launcher.
Sure.
I absolutely want to be on the WoW launcher one day. Yeah, they put people on there. They put a lot of people on there.
Yeah, they do.
And some of them aren't all that much bigger than myself, to be quite honest. So
here's to that. Let's hope that happens.
As for making my goals, I'm doing my best, right? More the YouTube and Twitch are starting to gain what I would consider a modicum of traction. People keep coming and do things, so that's really cool.
Your YouTube seems like it's pretty active. That's good.
It's getting there. It's getting there. I'm putting everything I can behind both of those things because of the fact that, quite frankly, I'd like to make I'd like my efforts to pay off. And because I am an engineer during the day, I have certain resources that I can throw towards that stuff to help out. And so I do.
Yeah. We will also be working on stuff that I have a lot of things I want to talk to you about for your YouTube channel. There's just not enough time for us. So,
No, I can't right now. It's like,
so along the way, what do you feel like you've struggled with the most when it comes to streaming? Like if somebody were going to start streaming, like what would be, and you could only tell them like, okay, watch out for this.
okay.
Or what's the most important thing people need to worry about?
So for me, it is attaching personal value to performance metrics. That every time I look at that stuff, and a little less now.
Okay, so let's make that very clear for people. You mean you don't want to have the wrong or inappropriate reaction to how many people are watching you in a given moment?
That is yes, or overall or a trend. You what because the thing is you spiraling or feeling bad doesn't solve that problem.
Correct. Yeah, big time.
You being able to step back, maybe get some outside opinions, some outside help, and getting more information and being able to look at it more objectively will potentially help that.
It never feels good to look and see that you only have 2 viewers.
No, that's never going to go away.
You're never going to have a positive reaction to that moment.
Yeah, that's never going to go away unless there is one exception to that. Unless the highest you've ever had so far was 1.
1, yeah.
Look, we got to start somewhere.
Okay, true.
So the point is, if I could give any advice to anybody who's starting as a streamer, right? Do not attach your personal worth to viewership metrics, because here's the thing. There's no discovery algorithm on Twitch. If you have to go, how many people, or ask yourself this question. Let's say you were going to watch a new category in streaming, right? Let's just say, hypothetically, you're going to watch World of Warcraft, where this wonderful, talented person speaking is, normally. And let's say that you're like, all right, I'm going to watch this. In order to find me, you may have to scroll, and scroll, and scroll, and scroll. And the longer you have to scroll, statistically, the less likely you are to find me. Yep. Whereas if you're in the top 10 to 15%, or the top 10 or 15 categories, odds are I'm right there. You can just, oh, hey, there's Nim.
Yep.
We love Nim. Click on Nim.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
There are some tools you can use to help with that stuff for sure. And if you're doing all of that, it's just very easy to get caught up in the moment, though. Like, I think the advice you gave is good. The actionable thing maybe would be to don't look at viewer count. And don't. The other thing is, this is a number that lies to you. It's never accurate. It can say 2 and be 10. and it may never show 10, and 10 people could be there. You just never know. And in that moment when you're seeing 2 and your reaction is, nobody wants to watch me right now, and you're going to get Debbie Downer on yourself about no one watching your stream. Well, those 8 people that were there above the 2 are all going to leave, and now you really are at 2, right? So don't believe it.
And again, Sonny, you bring up a good point, is that, don't believe it. Don't do that. Someone in the chat had mentioned turning the viewer count off. I heartily recommend that if you are like myself and have a proclivity towards self-doubt based on viewer metrics. That's a personal problem I've dealt with. Yeah, and the thing is, you're probably okay. You're probably doing everything you need to do. The thing is, your brain is being fed information from something that you supposedly trust.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always tell you the truth.
It's important to everyone else, and it shouldn't be as well. That's another thing. Like, there's some really great streamers out there that nobody's watching, and they're great streamers, and they should have some pride and, respect for themselves for what they're doing, because they're just, the numbers aren't what make your stream good. You being a good streamer and having an entertaining channel and having a good content is really way more important than some number on the screen that is a liar. So
yeah, the bandwagon effect isn't going to happen if no one stays around.
So let's talk about the other side. What's the thing that maybe inspires you the most to be creative or do more with your streaming?
Okay, so couple of things. I got to do a few weeks ago. I got to do a full viewer dungeon. That is really, for those who don't know, in World of Warcraft,
explain.
In World of Warcraft, you do dungeons. They are 5-person content. So Generally, you get 5 people to go into a dungeon. You execute the encounters. So you go through, you kill the bosses, you kill the little minions, and you get your loot, and everybody's happy. Unless you happen to roll a class that's nerfed, in which case you cry a little bit inside. Sad music now. And then and then you then you get your loot, and you're fine. But I got to have a full viewer dungeon, meaning 4 people from the chat came into a dungeon that I was healing in, and we got to have an absolute blast of a time. We rocked it out. It was great. And I really like the idea of, when it comes to like what I've done right in streaming, is I've always prided myself on, if you run into me in game or run into me live, I am going to be able to get you from absolute novice to you're ready for end game content but just by talking to me. Like, I can get you there. It may take a few hours, it may take a little while, and we have to talk a couple of times. But I can get you from absolute beginner to ready to tackle the end game PvE challenges, player versus environment, so not player versus player in this case. Challenges just by talking to me. And because I follow two methods. One, I have some knowledge of it myself, and 2, the handshake method. I may not be the best warlock in the world. In fact, I'm not the best warlock in the world. I'm not even a great warlock or a good warlock. I'm not even a warlock. I don't play warlock. But I happen to know 2 of the best warlocks in the entire world who clear the hardest content on release, meaning before the nerfs. So what I'd be like is like, oh, you really want to learn warlock? Let me introduce you to my friend over here, Bestro. Why don't you come on down and let's introduce, and then go from there. And the answer I always tell them is like, this is one of the best players in the world. Do what they say. They've already mathed it out. They know better than you because this is their thing that they do for 800 hours a month. So, like, listen to them.
Okay. So you kind of answered my next question too with that maybe your favorite thing about being live is hanging out with people.
Hanging out with people, helping people, and just kind of in general enjoying the experience of the dungeon and taking it at face value. So while what I mean by that is, I know that it's a character on my screen that's being hit, but the fact that if I play it straight as if it's happening to me and like, oh, okay, so we're getting ready to go. All right, throw the interrupt, do that, punch him in the throat. Fantastic. Oh, I'm a holy paladin now. Why? I have a mailed fist or a plated fist. Every other spec can punch somebody in the throat. When I picked up a spell book, did I somehow forget how to punch people in the face? I mean, it seems like I could just do that without training. It's just an arm motion and playing it completely literal. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to make fun of the meta game, essentially, or the meta of the game, where it's, like, why is my holy priest not able to be like, you know what, I'm having a bad day, shadow word pain.
Yeah, you definitely are an MMO streamer. Yeah. So yeah, I think that the big takeaway here for people is that the thing that you can place value in for your channel it shouldn't be numerical. It should be experiential in some way. Like, you're talking about how much you enjoy the experience of playing the game with viewers and creating relationships and getting to do stuff that's interactive, helping people. Those are all very laudable goals. And I think that if more streamers would chase that stuff instead of chasing a higher viewer count, they might find a little more one-to-one recognition and appreciation inside themselves for what they are doing, because those are goals you can achieve, right? Like, like a streamer has it doesn't have a lot of people watching, as a small community can have a big impact on that community. And that, if you lose sight of that, and you just chase big numbers, well, you might lose that small community as well. So
one thing I want to mention when it comes to, let's say, impact on a community, a lot of people are familiar with toxic communities, right? There's such a thing that certain games just tend to attract people, and certain streamers, of course, happen to have, let's say, less than positive communities. My goal with this is, I started playing MMOs when I was very young, and I'm probably going to play them until I die. Or cut off. Right. Either whatever happens. But I have run the gamut from absolute noob to I've got a world first kill on a Tuziel in Rift as a Chloromancer, right? Like, I was in the group that killed a Tuziel as the world first. So I've been all over the spectrum on that. And the thing that I've found is that the best players tend to help uplift others, and the players who are kind of good get a little arrogant. But the players that are always like, yeah, I parsed 95 on a bad day, they're like, oh yeah, whatever. Here's how you do this, and they help. So I try to emulate that. My goal is because if I'm arrogant towards somebody, do you know what's going to happen? They're not going to listen to me. If every day I talk to you, you punched me in the face, I'm not
You're not
going
going to listen to me.
You're like
Yeah.
hold on here. We're not doing this.
Yeah. So, man, I have some stuff I want to talk to you about. We'll talk about it in the post show. If anybody's interested, we are going to hang out with chat after the recorded episode and hang out with you guys and talk maybe more about some other stuff. So once we get through these questions, we got a couple more questions for you.
I'll take as long as you need, Sonny. I enjoy talking to you.
So, well, yeah, I'm actually just kind of excited to go off topic and talk about other stuff with you, right? But we need to finish the interview. So, this is something I ask everybody if they're in IQ. And so far, all of our people that have joined have been IQ members so far. So how did you find IQ? Do you remember Infinite Quality?
I found IQ through a streamer by the name of Jared Bear.
Yep. Okay.
Now, Jared,
that's where you keep hearing. This is a common theme.
Yeah. Jared, I met on Twitter, and I remember sending him a small DM of congratulations when he had achieved partner status, and I offered to buy him a bottle of scotch as a thing, just whatever, because I'd talked to him before and he had been fine. There was a beef between him and a grifter, a very well-known grifter. We don't need to mention any names,
sure.
It's not important. And after a while, Jared was like, "Hey, Nim, let me just be real with you for a second. You seem like a nice guy. You've laid this out for me. Let me just take a look here," and kind of not slapped in the face, but was like, "You are being taken advantage of. You are being taken advantage of." And I was like, and that kind of helped me realize, like, oh yeah, I'm being taken advantage of. Because if random stranger can see it, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Especially
there's a lot of that in the streaming space.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's a thing. Just that's why, again, we do our best, but that's how I joined.
Just so people are clear on kind of what you're saying, you're talking about groups that sound like they're IQ.
Yes. So this particular group,
but they're not.
This particular group was a group that would help, guide you through and educate you at,
streamer coaching.
Streamer coaching would be a way to put that, and help you grow and give you a bunch of worksheets.
But very much a for-profit experience.
Yeah. I will tell you this, that the person who was a partner at the time, and I don't know if they still are, it was for some money.
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm not going to go with that anymore, because I don't want to denigrate anybody. Look, people change. It's fine. This is about positivity and helping people, not tearing others down. I'll leave that for private conversations. But the point that I'm going to say is that when it comes to coaching stuff, the best advice I can give you is go to sullygnome.com and look up their stats, because their stats are your stats. And if you can't help you, what are they going to do?
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why we don't promote IQ as a community to help you grow your stream. We promote it as a place to help you improve streaming itself. Like, make your camera look good, make your microphone sound good, because that's all stuff that you can go and double check with us. And you can be like, well, yeah, the camera looks good. Oh yeah, their stream sounds good.
Do some mild branding exercises.
Yeah. IQ's focus was never like, hey, we know how to make you go from 0 viewers to 100 viewers. I don't know how that's done. That's very difficult. But we do know how to be like, this microphone's better than other microphones and it's easy to use, and so maybe try it. So yeah, so you were kind of over there getting led around by we're gonna make you a big streamer coaching crowd, and then so you gravitated towards IQ because why? What happened?
What had happened was I had done all the work, I had done all the things, I had really, the same tenacity I'm attacking my psychology degree with, I attacked that classwork, and nothing. I mean nothing. Desolation.
You mean so you were listening to them and nothing was working?
Nothing was working.
Right.
Nothing. I got rated by one of the partners, part of there, and I had a 10% increase of stream viewership overall for like 1 month and then nothing.
Right.
And I went through the exercises, I did the stuff, and they were like, "Here, let me help you create a media pitch deck." I'm like, "Lady, I'm trying to get above like 10 viewers. I need a little bit more. That's great, but that's way down the line. Let me just like you want to talk about."
They didn't even offer you like the basics of like colors and fonts and like things that you need to like.
And so that's where that came from. And here's the thing, they got $300 from me. Okay, I'm fine covering that, and I was offered to have it refunded. But the reason why I let the people keep that is so that I still have the right to complain. That's why. Because it's like I did that because I want them to know, it's like, look, you got it. Your grift worked. But keep in mind that because your grift worked, I'm gonna let people know that the grift worked.
True.
So
it's funny because those people, I know who you're talking about, kind of attacked us as like trying to do what they're doing, and it's like
because like, I have never been once asked for money from IQ, not once. Sonny, you are bad. Like, set up a PayPal link. Damn.
There's a Patreon. There is a Patreon.
Okay, that's
Look,
fine.
but I don't shove it down people's throats.
Well, you also didn't charge me $300.
Yeah.
Like,
front.
Like just as a thing. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, so just please be careful when it comes to stuff, solely known things.
Yeah.
To help.
IQ is set up to be more like a public access type thing where everybody gets to enjoy it, and the people who want to support it will figure out a way. They'll look at the website. I really hate shoving it down people's throats. I just leave it there. I try to mention it in the videos that they can support the channel if they want to. So
wait a minute, Sonny, I have a question. Just a quick question here. So let's hypothetically say that I wanted to shove down people's throats. It's patreon.com/
infinite quality.
So what I'm saying, so I'm issuing.
Just go to infinitequality.live. All the information.
Yeah, infinitequality.live. You'll find it there. I'm not saying that good things will happen if you do that, because I don't know if I'm legally allowed to, but I will absolutely imply. Look at me, I'm winking. Good things happen.
All right. So, since you joined IQ, what kind of impact has that had on you?
Honestly, it's been a pretty good impact. I've gotten to not only meet with some people and talk with some people and get some questions answered privately. A lot now more about YouTube, because people have seen that the YouTube has grown a little bit, and some members have been like, "Hey, Nim, what are you doing here? What is this?" I had recently had to talk to somebody who was having some self-doubts about their content because the YouTube algorithm didn't pick it up, and it absolutely picked up the last video, like crazy good for them. And they felt
it'll do that.
They felt they were down, and I looked at it, I watched it, sat down, watched both videos, and I was like, these are both of equal quality. These are excellent. It's just that the algorithm was not kind to you this time. That is not an indictment on you as a creator.
Not at all. Yeah.
That is the algorithm, in my humble and correct opinion, not being intelligent.
Humble and correct. Yeah. No, YouTube will do that. You just got to keep making content that's good.
And I'll tell you this: the easiest way to be cool on camera is to be cool off camera.
Yeah, true. That's why, being an interesting person in real life helps a lot in the creative space. Yeah.
One of the reasons why, like, when I have young cats who talk about streaming in the stream, they'll be like, "Oh man, you seem cool. You want to stream?" It's like, do other things as well, because then what that does, it gives you a well of experiences to draw on, which allows you to frame things better. Yeah,
this is one of the conversations I have with a lot of people. Trying to give them advice. I'm like, well, what is your life like outside of stream? It may not seem that important, but like, if you have nothing to talk about on camera, like what anime you like, what movies you like, it actually can be beneficial for you to invest in yourself by being kind of inundated in other things, other forms of media, because then you have stuff to talk about, So IQ has had an impact on you just from that community aspect.
I would say it's been a general positive thing. If I have some specific technical questions, I will answer them from time to time, or I'll ask them and then get them answered. And
sure.
And generally the advice, and this is the best part about it, generally the advice is specific and actionable. Those are two things that I look for. It's not just, perform better content. Why didn't I think of that? Obviously, that was the answer. Yeah. Do better, Nim, of course. Let me go shout it to the hills and let people know that, friends, I found the answer. You just need to be better.
Yeah.
So that's the thing there that I can't. But the specific and actionable is like, oh, have you considered trying step X? If so, try Y and Z as well.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
that tends to be, even if it doesn't necessarily succeed, it tends to give me a much more realistic and practical framework to operate in.
Okay. Is there anything that you'd like to see IQ expand into or do in the future, or anything you want to bring to the community?
Anything, if once I get good at YouTube, I wouldn't mind being able to help out with that. I would also like to see if there were specific tools that could be used for an alternative to TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is a great thing, but that's a lot of coding, Sonny. That's a lot of coding.
Yeah. It's not.
I was gonna say like you're a
Maybe,
smart guy.
maybe someone in the chat can help us with that.
Yeah, you're a smart guy. And Game Dev Twinkie's a smart guy too. Both of you together, real smart guys. Cumulative effect. But that's also a lot of work.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
a lot of work.
True. So, yeah, that's stuff to think about for sure. So, do you have anything that you would like to personally promote that you have coming up and want to tell people about?
Let's see. Personal promotions.
I'll give you this. Everybody should go check out twitch.tv/Nimicry. And watch him stream. I'm sure you can all wean and learn something, and maybe he can be a good inspiration for you if you're feeling like you don't know what you should be doing with your channel. We have very good streamers in IQ, and just because they don't have 100 viewers all the time doesn't mean they're not very good streamers. We're all in the same boat. You can learn a lot from smaller streamers. Good smaller streamers are going to be good, very, very good big streamers as well.
So if I would promote one thing, it's on the YouTube is youtube.com/Nimicry. We're almost at 7,000 subs. We're getting close, so that's pretty cool. And I will say that every Monday at 7 a.m. Eastern, I release a video. Now, the reason why I do it then is so that after you're driving to traffic, you have something to either make you have a good time while you're working, or something to complain about in addition to the traffic. Because I care about your feelings and how you get through the day.
That drive home is real important. It's because you're really, really hitting home with that one for everybody. Yeah,
I do my best.
So, all right. So everybody go check out Nim. I'm sure there's a lot for you to learn. So I think Nim's very open-minded as well for discussing things. Sometimes you even get into topics that might be difficult for people to talk about, and you do it in a way that's...
So may I address that real quick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So I do not shy away from discussion on my channel, some of which tends to border into, some of the gamers' worst nightmares, politics. That being said, we attack ideas, not people, as a rule, because people can change, but if every time someone comes and is like, you're bad, and punches you in the face, you're not going to listen. I know I wouldn't listen. We mentioned this earlier. Sonny's a great dude. Look at him. Awesome guy. But if he punched me in the face every time, it's like, Sonny, I really like you, but man, my jaw hurts.
All right. So I just want to tell everybody once again, please go check out twitch.tv/Nimicry and YouTube. Go on YouTube and look up Nimicry. You'll find him. He's got a bunch of videos on Dragonflight and lots of MMO content, and there's always more to come there as well. So we're going to hang out with you guys on Twitch and talk to the chat, and we're going to break into our more unofficial side of the podcast. But if you're checking this out on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're watching this on Spotify, you can check us out. Everybody can go to the website, infinitequality.live. We've mentioned it enough. I want to say thanks again, Nimicry, for having you on the episode, and we'll see everybody next week. Hang out in the chat, guys. We'll be right there.
That was a lot of fun.